So the stake and pass should be the keeper. Yellow card. Out. Here's Dad with the way.
France, Iraq, Group Y, FIFA World Cup 2026, Lincoln Financial Field, Philadelphia. And just when the game was supposed to hit its second half, the sky cracked open. Thunder, lightning, a storm so violent it shut down a World Cup match for over 2 hours. But you want to know what didn't stop? France! France never stopped. Here is everything that went down in Philadelphia on June 22nd, 2026. Because what unfolded on that soaked pitch was far more than 90 minutes of football. It was a demonstration, a masterclass, a cold, calculated reminder of what this French squad is genuinely capable of when they are locked in. Coming into this fixture, France had already put Senegal away in their first group game. Iraq arrived having been torn apart 4-1 by Norway in theirs. On paper, there was only going to be one winner here, and once the game started, it became clear very quickly that even the paper had underestimated how wide this gap truly was. France were dominant from the very first whistle. The movement, the pressing, the technical precision, all of it operating at a level Iraq simply had no answer for. Michael Olise, playing with that rare combination of intelligence and elegance that makes him almost impossible to press, slid a pass through to Mbappe on the right channel. The France captain didn't think twice. From outside the box, 22 yards, using his left foot, the foot most people would call his weaker one, he sent a curling, dipping strike screaming past goalkeeper Ahmed Basil before he could even react. Minute 14. France 1, Iraq 0. Philadelphia goes absolutely wild. But hold on, because that wasn't just another World Cup goal. That was goal number 15 for Kylian Mbappé in World Cup football. 15 goals at 27 years old in only his third World Cup campaign. When you sit with those numbers for a moment, they start to feel genuinely surreal. And then halftime arrives, and everything about this evening shifts completely. The players disappear into the tunnel, and the storm that had been gathering over Philadelphia all night finally breaks loose. Lightning slashes across the sky. Rain hammers the pitch so hard that ground staff had to come out with squeegees just to make the surface playable again. Messages on the stadium screen telling fans to find covered shelter immediately. And the official word from the referee, the second half will not begin. Not yet. Weather delay. Indefinite. Wrap your head around that for a second. The FIFA World Cup. A weather delay. The first in the entire history of this competition. 2 hours and change. Players locked in dressing rooms. Fans camped in corridors, some heading for the exits. The skies above Philadelphia looked absolutely apocalyptic. And this is where things get psychologically interesting. Because from Iraq's perspective, that delay wasn't without hope. They were only trailing by a single goal. Their new goalkeeper Ahmed Basil had been handed his first start after their captain Jalal Hassan had shipped 4 goals against Norway. There was something to play for. Maybe the enforced break would flatten France's rhythm. Maybe the restart would bring a different match. Maybe. But France do not do maybes. 9 minutes after the restart, Iraq's defense tried to play out from the back, and the execution was an absolute disaster. Defender Zaid Tassin played a pass back toward goalkeeper Basil that had catastrophe written all over it the moment it left his boot. Ousmane Dembélé read it instantly, nipped in, stayed composed, and slid the ball across to Mbappe. One touch, back of the net, 54th minute, 2-0, 16 World Cup goals for Kylian Mbappé. 16. That number places him alongside Miroslav Klose, the German legend who spent 4 World Cup tournaments accumulating that tally and retired holding it as an outright record. Mbappe equals it in 3 tournaments. Joint second on the all-time list. and now the number that reframes everything else happening on this day. Just hours earlier, in Kansas City, Lionel Messi had scored twice against Austria to push his World Cup career total to 18 goals. 18! Messi is now the sole holder of the all-time scoring record in World Cup history. And Mbappe, as of this game in Philadelphia, is 2 behind him. 2 goals, with the knockout rounds still to come. If you are a football supporter anywhere on this planet, you need to recognize what you are watching. A living, breathing, ongoing chase between the greatest footballer of one era and the man who may become the greatest of the next, happening simultaneously, in the same tournament. Back to Philadelphia, 66th minute. Olise picks the ball up again, and once more, his passing is simply on a different level. He threads it through the Iraqi back line with the kind of weight and timing that most players can only dream of producing. Dembele arrives onto it in the penalty area, and he finishes. Low, hard, bottom left. Goalkeeper Basil had no chance. Now why does this goal carry weight beyond just the scoreline? Because Ousmane Dembélé, Ballon d'Or holder, one of the most gifted wide players in world football, had gone through 19 major tournament appearances across his international career without a single goal to show for it. Euros, World Cups, all of it. That stat had become one of those uncomfortable numbers that followed him everywhere. And then, in Philadelphia, on appearance number 20, he ends it, his first World Cup goal. Watch his celebration. Watch his teammates surround him. That moment meant something. Full time, France 3, Iraq 0. The statistics lay bare just how complete France's control over this match was. 19 total attempts for France. 4 for Iraq, 5 on target for France. Iraq's count on target, 0. Not one shot that forced a save across the entire 90 minutes. France's expected goals sat at 2.38, comfortably above their actual output. Iraq managed just 0.6 xG, and still fell short of that. This was not a competitive match in any meaningful statistical sense, and fair recognition where it is due. Ali Al-Hamadi and Zidane Iqbal had moments that showed real quality, and Iraq never stopped competing. But the goalkeeping errors that have haunted this Iraq squad across both group games, combined with the technical gulf between these two sides, made the outcome feel inevitable from very early on. When you surrender possession in your own box against a team with Mbappe and Dembele running at you, the punishment arrives fast, and it arrives hard. One more thing needs to be said about this night for Kylian Mbappé specifically, because this game was his 100th international appearance for France, cap number 100, and he marked it with 2 goals in a World Cup knockout round qualifier. 16 goals across 16 World Cup appearances. He has never played a World Cup game without contributing to the score sheet. That level of consistency across the biggest stage in football is something that very few players in the history of the game have ever come close to. Group I picture now. France are through to the knockout stage with a match day to spare. Norway have punched their ticket too after defeating Senegal on the same evening. That sets up the final group game as a genuine clash with real stakes. France against Norway. Two sides loaded with attacking firepower and both hungry to finish as group winners. Win that, and France potentially return to Philadelphia to face Germany on the 4th of July. That is a fixture the whole world would want to see. But what this match confirmed, what France versus Iraq wrote in permanent ink, is that this squad right now is functioning at an entirely different altitude to most of the teams in this competition. The way they dismantle defensive structures before the opposition can even set, the calm with which they absorb unusual circumstances, like a 2-hour storm delay, and immediately reassert control, these are not the characteristics of a team that gets beaten early in a tournament. These are the characteristics of a team with a very serious chance of lifting the trophy. And through all of it, the story keeps coming back to the same man, 16 World Cup goals, 2 behind the record, a tournament still wide open ahead of him. Kylian Mbappé is not chasing history. At this pace, history is struggling to keep up with him.